Welcome everyone. So this is gonna be my dissection and analysis of the video Why I Unstand Blackpink and So Should You by sonceveluv. So yeah, first off, I'm gonna be very unbiased approaching this topic, and I want to make that very clear because I don't have any bias whatsoever regarding this whole affair, meaning that you can 100% trust all of my opinions and all of my facts as givens. So just don't question me. Right, that was obviously sarcasm, and what I mean by all that is that my video as well as sonceveluv's initial video are obviously opinion-based videos, meaning that you can't really go that hard on either one of them just because you disagree with the general perception that the guy in the video has of the whole situation, just because you don't like him or just because that opinion doesn't meet yours. Alright, so my video, what's it about to be? It's gonna be a case-by-case rundown of his points, and I'm gonna give my verdict if whether or not I basically find his points to be whack or spot on, depending on every single subject. And also, which is very important to me, my video is about to be no whataboutism. What does it mean? It pretty much means that I'm not gonna just point at any flaws in YG or Blackpink itself and point at any other group, artist, label, any other issue basically, and say, yeah, but they're doing it worse, because that doesn't really make any sense, and I see that a lot. I see that a whole lot on both sides actually, of people criticizing Blackpink, defending Blackpink, or just in online debates in general. So we're gonna keep it clean with the whataboutism. Alright, so let's jump into the video. First off, as it makes sense, we're just gonna look at the title. And I found his title, Why I Unstand Blackpink and So Should You. I found it very good, and I found it very fair too, because it is clickbait. Many people complained about it. It is a clickbait title. But what does that actually mean? And is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't think so, because it really incentivizes people who care about Blackpink or just want to voice their opinion on Blackpink or any potential issues to click on the video. So is that a bad thing? No, it isn't, because that's actually what the people are gonna get: their opinions on Blackpink and a chance to debate all those opinions and lay down their own opinions in the comment section or make a reaction video, just as I do right now. So the clickbait itself is a fair thing. The creator, sonceveluv, actually gives you exactly what he promises in the title: the reason why he unstand Blackpink and why he thinks that we should do the same. So yeah, in my opinion, I don't have any problems with the title. I saw multiple people complain about it. I think it's spot on, and again, all of these videos are just opinion-based videos explaining one person's point of view, which doesn't mean that anyone has to agree with him. The whole world could be against him, could be calling him a bullshitter, could be calling him a liar. It doesn't matter. This one video is his opinion on why he unstand Blackpink and why he thinks everybody else, or we, should do the same. So the title is actually very fair, very fairly chosen, and yeah, I support him with that. Just in general, this whole video, his whole video, is going to be the struggle of what is really Blackpink's fault, what is really YG's fault, and does that matter? Is there a difference to be made? Is there a difference in metric of judgment to be applied regarding whether or not something is a mistake the artists made, the managers made, the stylists made? I don't know. And I think this whole point can be gotten rid of very easily, no matter whether or not Blackpink, the artists, Blackpink, the staff involved in working around the brand and the music and the concepts, etc., or whether YG made a mistake. All of these mistakes are legitimate reasons to unstand Blackpink. Why? Simply because supporting Blackpink fundamentally supports YG itself. You can't support Blackpink without supporting YG itself. Blackpink are pretty much just working for YG, so to say that you should just unstand YG but still support Blackpink, that's kind of half-assing the point. Just as the top commenter on sonceveluv's video actually pointed out, you can't really do that because supporting Blackpink is the same thing as supporting YG, like it or not. Alright, going into the content of his actual video right now. The first point I want to touch, his first issue he points out with Blackpink, is the scary fandom. And that's a really, really touchy subject because pretty much the entire K-pop scene is aware of this issue. Everybody's saying Blackpink's fandom is toxic, is frightening, and yeah, people just don't want to be associated with it. Even Blackpink fans, Blinks, themselves, I've actually noticed quite often enough, not wanting to flat out come out as Blinks just because the reputation is so negative. But is that a legitimate reason to unstand Blackpink? And I think sonceveluv actually nailed this point the best in his entire video. That's why I'm starting off with it, because I don't have really much to say about it. He nailed it spot on. He said it's a very bad notion to just say, I don't like the fans, so I won't like the group. But liking the group makes you a fan, exposes you to content, opinions of other fans of the group, and that environment and its effect on you and your just experience of the group can be pretty disheartening. And I agree with that, and I think that's a really, really good reason to unstand Blackpink. If you actually feel intimidated or bothered by the fandom, I feel like that's a fair reason. So he played great to his video title. He made a great case for it. No problem whatsoever with that point. It's a little exaggerated, and I saw a few people complain about that, and I have to say that's not really a problem because that's just a stylistic device journalism uses very often to exaggerate points, to really put the finger into the wound, and that's how journalism works. So people complaining about that, they should really try to attack his points rather than his journalistic devices. Okay, moving on from the fandom. Now this is my favorite issue, and I picked that to be second with a very, very good purpose. You will see that later on. His second point, the second point I'm gonna attack, is Jennie and her role in the group, and just the issues surrounding her and why she makes the group unlikable for him. Because that's pretty much what he's saying. If he's saying Jennie is an issue, why you should unstand Blackpink, he has to provide points supporting that argument. And he does, So let's start it off. This point as a whole is very well researched in his video. I want to credit him for that once again, because I think many people lack that. Many people just put out opinions, as I do, funnily enough, and not support them with any video footage or any sources of some sort. It could be pictures, could be text sources, could be articles, could be anything, and very few people actually do that. So I want to credit him for that. That was a good job. Now let's dive into the matter. First off, her lazy dancing scandal. I find that whole topic laughable. I find it very laughable. And I know I'm gonna offend some people with that, and I don't really care about the bumps. I really don't care about the bumps, because the lazy dancing scandal got played up big time. It got played up big time. And sonceveluv tries to make an argument for it, tries to make an argument for why it would be relevant to unstanding Blackpink. And he says it's disrespectful to the other members of the group. It's disrespectful to so many trainees biding their chance to get a spot to get their chance to make a breakthrough as the next K-idol. So I believe that's all a big load of bullshit. And here's why. I'm actually gonna explain it, obviously, not like the dozens of commenters on Twitter, on Facebook. I assume I'm not using Facebook anyway. I guess that's for people under the age of 10, but whatever. On YouTube as well, there were a bunch of commenters just trying to get at Jennie, trying to say, oh, her dancing and her whole attitude, and it's so harmful to Blackpink. Bullshit. If there were any trainees at YG doing her job better than her, she would be swapped out in a heartbeat. From a business point of view, it makes no sense whatsoever for YG to keep an idol on a roster, essentially, on a group, despite her being harmful to the group, because that, in the end, is harmful to the brand Blackpink and the brand YG itself. So YG having the ultimate power, the ultimate control over who's on the roster, who's on the group, and who isn't, they would swap her out in a heartbeat. If there was any problem with her performances that would actually harm the effect of the group or the image of the group. So am I denying that Jennie doesn't have any bad performances? No, obviously not. That's a really, really dumb way to interpret the whole defense of Germany. Oh my fucking god. It's a really bad way of trying to delegitimize the whole defense of Jennie in that matter, because let's look at it this way. Everybody, every one of the 4 girls, every artist, every person in general will have bad performances. Now, I'm not gonna try to argue to say, oh, those were just her bad days or whatever, but you don't have a single damn clue what's going on behind the scenes. You have no idea what's going on in her life, in any of the lives of the group's members, and yet you make it out to be very easy for all of them to just put on a smile, go out on the stage, dance their best, being 100% present on stage with their thoughts. It's supposed to be so easy, isn't it? Is it really? Is it really? Because if it is, then where are all of you fuckers? Where are every one of you standing on the stages, going out, performing out all the best songs, all the best dances? Yeah, I don't see any of y'all doing that. I don't see anyone. So please, we have no idea concerning the circumstances, and I won't deny that she has had quite a few performances that were not up to her standards. But is that a reason to unstand Blackpink? Is it one? I don't think so. And I don't think it hurts the image of the group if one of them is having a slump, a bad performance, a series of bad performances. Is it? So he moves on, talking about Jennie, not only about her dancing scandal, which, fair enough, he tried to explain, but I just don't agree with it, as I outlined quite in depth. So, the whole point of favoritism towards Jennie in Blackpink. This is the point he spent quite some time on, and I got it. I understood very well what he was trying to say. And he outlined it very well. He outlined very well that there was favoritism towards Jennie, where we could see it, how it was to be proven, and I won't deny it. Nobody will deny it. Jennie is just put in a very special place on the group. So, with all of that, with all of the nice in-depth explanations about Jennie's favoritism, I never once got the question answered. Where is the problem with that? Where is it, seriously? Because is there an unfair advantage for her to be gained? I don't think so. Is it relevant? Is it relevant to the topic of unstanding Blackpink that one of the members is getting more exposure than the others, is getting a deeper character written for her, an extended persona? Is there a problem with that? Is it harmful to the group? I don't think it is harmful to the group in any way. And I'm gonna explain why, obviously. Jennie having a brand on her own, in my opinion, is very, very beneficial to Blackpink as a whole. Because, at least as far as I know, she is the only one that drops her name in any of the major Blackpink songs. Boombayah is a big hit, and her rapping part is actually quite well known, and it gets really hyped because she drops her name in the end of it, and it just makes her look a lot more badass. And that is very atypical for K-pop, mainly because the artists don't write their songs themselves, so not a lot of their personality will actually be conveyed by the songs. That's just how K-pop is. But straying those little aspects of personality into the songs every once in a while is just so enjoyable to watch. And the only other example of it I can remember off the top of my head is SNSD with The Boys, because them yelling something like "Girls' Generation, we don't stop." It's just so hype. I mean, the whole song is just a very hype experience, and those little effects that just further the personality and the brand of the individual artist or the groups as a whole is just so good and beneficial to them and to their brand that I don't think you should criticize it if Jennie is getting a special treatment in Blackpink, because having a strong, popular figure in the group that is well known throughout the community, mostly liked or not, can't really be a negative to the group itself, can it? I don't think so. As long as there are no divides in between the members of the group, which I doubt that there are some, because if you just look at all the footage of them, all the streams, all the projects they've done, all the show appearances, I don't think there are divides between the girls. But if there are fans, many fans, antagonizing Jennie, I think that only drives the popularity of the group through the roof. Because the worst thing that can happen to an artist or creator of any sort is not being talked about, being ignored, being irrelevant. But Blackpink and Jennie herself are all but irrelevant. They're in everyone's mouth, and they're being talked about around the globe. So whether you like them or not, whether you like Jennie or not, to the brand of Blackpink and YG as a whole, her name and all the scrutiny that comes with it is very advantageous in my opinion. And so her being a favorite of the management seems to be very, very strange if you try to spin it as a negative for the group. Now, the promo for her solo, that's a really tricky subject, because sonceveluv once again explains very well that there was an unusual amount of promo for her solo comeback, for her solo debut, obviously. And why is that? And is that a bad thing for the others as well? Why would it be negative? More promo for a one single individual does not take away anything from the other comebacks of the group, does it? Why would it? I don't see it. It's not like Jennie came out with solo at the same time that another Blackpink comeback dropped, and now they are scrambling over views or over album sales. It's nothing like that. And also, the most crazy part, the craziest part of it all is we don't even know if the other solo debuts aren't gonna get the same amount of promo. We just don't have a clue. So why would we complain about that? There is no difference in treatment between her and the other members so far, because the other members simply don't have a solo debut yet. Another very interesting thing to talk about with that whole matter is maybe they just needed to promote it that much, because Jennie's name alone doesn't have the same pull as Blackpink as a brand. It simply doesn't. So without promotion, I think they just feared her solo debut wouldn't sell as much. And it obviously wouldn't have sold as much hadn't they pushed it with all the trailers, all the dance cover contest and whatever there was. I didn't watch a whole bunch of that, to be honest. But I think the promotion was necessary. And from my experience, having been in Korea at the time when the solo debut actually dropped, it was received very well in Korea. It was played all over the streets. People were talking about it even, and it was a success. And a success for Jennie's solo debut is a success for Blackpink. So yeah, we talked about the solo treatment. Now, one last thing to consider for all of that. The promotion for an album, for a song, for anything, isn't linear to the album sales. What do I mean by that? I have a very good example for all of this, actually. If we're looking at US rapper Eminem, he had two very recent, rather recent album drops in the last couple of years, being Revival and Kamikaze. The first one of them to come out was Revival, which received a good amount of promo, actually. They had leaks, supposed leaks, spread on social media, and it was announced very, very fondly all over the place being the internet, and it didn't do well. It was actually his worst performing album to this date, and everybody that knows something about him, his career, his sales numbers, would have expected him to do way better. But despite all the promo, the album actually flopped. Now, his last album, the following album, Kamikaze, was a surprise album. Nobody knew it was gonna drop, and it did very well. It's not like it's his best album by any means in terms of album sales, but it did way, way better than Revival, which received a whole lot of promo. So you can see, more promotion isn't even that big a deal, and it isn't even necessarily guaranteeing that the piece of art, the album, the song, whatever, that receives more promotion will actually do better. So once again, Jennie being promoted more doesn't take away credit from any of the other members of the group. Now, what do I think about that whole point about Jennie? I think it's just an idea I have. sonceveluv seems a little bit buttered about the dating scandal. He's bringing it up very, very emotionally, and emotionally being a very ironic word since he doesn't even use his own voice, but you can tell he's bothered by it. Why is he bothered? I can only speculate, but he says fans are treating Jennie very, very differently and very, very much better than other idols, female idols that is, who were involved in dating scandals, that being relationships with male idols. And yeah, Jennie just receiving a way warmer reception of the community than any of the other idols before. And I thought, fair enough, that might be the case. I just asked the very elemental question that should always be asked with all of his points in the video. Why is that relevant to UNSTANNED BLACKPINK? Why is her being treated better by the community than other idols relevant to UNSTANNED BLACKPINK? Do I as a fan not like supporting them or their label because she's receiving better treatment from the community? Like, what even is that argument? Like, what are you trying to convey? Be happy for her at best. I don't know. I mean, it's a shame that everybody else is getting, pretty much getting shit on by the community for being, in a relationship with another idol. But what about Jennie? What does she have to do with it? Nothing at all. That's just my spin on that whole situation. Well, the last point he makes about Jennie is very accurate, though. I have to congratulate him on that once more, because it's a very, very valid point. Maybe his best one in the entire video. He says something's wrong about her, and he provides a good amount of video footage for that and talks about it briefly. I agree with him. I actually agree with him. We can't know, once again, we can't know a single thing that goes on behind the scenes, but it just seems, or at least seemed, I don't know about it nowadays, but it seemed in the clips he played, she seemed unnatural. She seemed stressed, bothered by some point. She even seemed, yeah, uncomfortable in her whole situation, not only in the interview, but just her media exposure in general. So that point can't be neglected. One thing I have to say about it though is it kind of is her job. It kind of is her job being exposed to the media 24/7, putting on a smile, giving lovely answers, but at the end of the day, it is her job putting up with everything she receives, be it hate, be it bad reputation. I don't know. It is her job to stand up to all of those challenges and face them. And I know that's hard. And I know that's not something you can demand from any person. But if you can't do that, then that's not the job for you. It simply isn't the right job for you. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And I don't think that's a reason for unstanding Blackpink, just because Jennie is having trouble living with her job. That's something that I'm not bothered by. I don't see it in all the music videos. I don't see it really often at all, but just for her personally, it is kind of sad, but it doesn't make me want to unstand Blackpink whatsoever. So I don't think it's very relevant to the video. I don't think she needed to put that in, but I think he just wanted to express his concerns for the girl, and I can understand that. It's fair enough. So now I just wanted to slide something in real quick. There's a very, very popular notion floating around in the internet, in sports debates in general, pretty much, and that is, I'm a Blink, therefore my criticism is extra meaningful. Well, no it isn't. Why would it be? Everyone can make a very valid argument for or against the cause, no matter his bias towards or against said person. So why is it meaningful if you're a Blink? People try to play that angle very often of, oh, I'm a Blink, so if even I say that they did this badly or they sucked at that, then it must be really bad, because I, as a fan, would never criticize them unfairly. Well, I just demonstrated that sonceveluv did criticize Jennie quite unfairly, or Blackpink quite unfairly, for things he didn't like about Jennie, which didn't make sense to me. And I think that that's a concept that I will make a separate video about one day. But why do fans think that just because they are fans of an artist, a sports team, whatever it might be, why do they think that their criticism gets validated by that in any way? Doesn't make any sense to me. So I have an example for that. My local football club, they are doing poorly pretty regularly, and the fan base is pretty toxic as well, just like with Blackpink. And the fans love to bash the team, the players, the coaches, the management. Every time they're doing badly, every time they're going on a losing streak. And I wondered, why is that? Because none of the other fans seem to go that hard on us. Nobody expects us to do very well. And I think fans of an artist oftentimes go hard on the artist, very much harder than any outstanding person would, just because they're emotionally attached to the artist or to the football team, in my case. They want them to do well, and if that doesn't happen, or if they don't feel satisfied with the performance of the team, the artist, the group, they want to vent that, and they oftentimes vent that in a very emotional and over-exaggerated way. So yeah, it's just some kind of redemption against the org, or yeah, just some type of vengeance against an artist who they deem to be a failure, or just because they like to complain about it. I don't know, but just in general, being a fan of someone doesn't make your criticism any much more valid. Arguments actually do, and outlining your train of thought actually does make an argument very valid. Being a fan simply doesn't. Leading us to the next point, sonceveluv criticized Blackpink in the USA and how YG promoted them right there. And that's a very interesting topic itself, because there are many angles to it. There are many angles to it, and he's right with a lot of them. And I'm gonna demonstrate once again where he's right, where he's wrong, where there are potential stretches in his logic, where it's flawed. So, just in general, YG's dubious promotion of the entire tour, of the entire world tour that Blackpink is doing right now at the moment, is a big problem. And saying you don't like to support YG and therefore Blackpink because they're pulling some pretty dubious stuff is a fair point. It just is. So I'm gonna go into this a little deeper once again. YG allegedly buying out seats just to resell them and therefore claim that the concerts are all sold out is a pretty low move. It's actually pretty disgusting, and I can understand everyone who doesn't want to support a company like that. Them overestimating Blackpink's pull and their appeal to the American audience especially is unlucky, but I don't think that it's embarrassing to the girls at all. As sonceveluv claims, he says it's embarrassing to the girls that the company plays it out so big and makes them out to be the next Beatles. I don't know. And what he means is they're buying venues, they're renting venues and selling tickets, and they're not being sold out. But is that a problem? I mean, of course, a full venue and a packed stadium is always the ideal atmosphere for a concert. I can speak to that myself. I've been to the Amsterdam and Berlin concert venues for Blackpink at their In Your Area World Tour, but I think neither of those venues were actually sold out. Or no, I don't think that. I know that I've been there. And why is that embarrassing to the girls? I would like to get an explanation from sonceveluv himself, because I don't see it. I enjoyed the concerts very much, and even if you're salty about there being empty seats, I don't think it's embarrassing to the girls. Why would it be? It's just a mistake YG made when planning the event. Is that embarrassing to the girls? It simply isn't. You could always get a bigger venue and complain about it not being sold out then, but that doesn't take anything away from the girls and their performances and their popularity, in my opinion. So that's a bit of a stretch to say that YG overestimating Blackpink's pull would be embarrassing for the girls. sonceveluv goes on to complain about the Billboard cover and Blackpink being on it, obviously, and those issues of the Billboard magazine not selling very well. And once again, that's kind of the same issue. Where's the problem? Even if there wasn't as much buy-in from the supporters as YG hoped there was going to be, how is it harmful to the group? And how is it harmful to my experience as a Blink, as a potential Blink? Why would I want to unstand them just because their magazines put them on them aren't selling? I don't get that notion, simply. I mean, you can surely be angry about it. You can be sad about it. You could wish for them to do better. You can... I mean, it clearly is a kind of metric for their popularity. But if they had sold double the amount of magazines, what do I get from it? How does it improve my experience as a fan of Blackpink? And why would it lead to me liking them more? I don't see it. I just don't get it. And I found that fact interesting with the whole Billboard magazine not selling well, but it's just not relevant to the topic of the video once again, so I have to call it out. Moving on to the scandal of YG themselves, the Burning Sun scandal. I can speak to that very little. But all that needs to be said is, it is a very legitimate reason to unstand Blackpink. Once again, I'm gonna explain. If you support Blackpink, you therefore, willingly or not, support YG. YG being involved in a very, very bad scandal that makes them very unlikable is a very fine and reasonable argument for not supporting that company. So yeah, go ahead. If you don't want to support a company that pulls these kind of scandals, don't support Blackpink. It's as easy as that. It's a very good reason. It's very well explained, and sonceveluv is totally right on that. Now, but them allegedly bringing forward the album release to cover up the Burning Sun scandal really can't be interpreted negatively, can it? Once again, how does that harm your experience as a fan? How does it decrease the value of the album? Now, he said it felt rushed, it felt too early, it didn't feel finished, whatever. Those were things he kind of alluded to in the video. And sonceveluv, to you personally, how does the earlier album release, allegedly, we don't even know if the album wasn't actually planned to drop at the point it did, how does that release impact your experience as a Blackpink fan negatively? I did understand, as I said, the whole Burning Sun scandal being a red flag to you, being a reason to unstand Blackpink. I understand that, but specifically pointing towards the album release as a negative, how is it negative to you if their album drops earlier? How is it? It's a joy for me. I was really happy that the album dropped, and it was a banger. You admitted that their performances on the album were great, and you said, okay, most of their songs had a kind of summer feeling to them. I didn't feel like that personally. I didn't feel like those were the biggest summer songs. I mean, if you compare it to like to the likes of Red Velvet's Red Flavor, Happiness, those are summer songs to me. But yeah, that's for everyone themselves to decide. The point still stands. If they actually brought forward the album release, why is that a problem for you? Because it isn't to me. And if you say the quality of the album was harmed by dropping it earlier than it was supposed to be, I would very much like to know where the quality of the album lacks in your opinion. The choreographies are fine, you said that. The songs are fine, you implied that. You didn't really state that, so I can know if you actually like the songs, but I had that feeling. And yeah, where was the lack in quality for that comeback? Where was it? I don't see it. So why is the earlier release, the alleged earlier release, a problem to you personally? Just tell me and I will concede that point. But as it stands, you didn't explain that in the video, so once again I'm gonna say it was irrelevant to the topic of your video and just didn't need to be criticized. So now to my favorite point. YG treat the girls badly until they need money. That's the business. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's the K-pop industry. The label has everything. The artists have to do what the label makes them do. If the label decides they want to have money, they want to get exposure, they're gonna make the artists come back. They're gonna make them appear on shows, make them release albums. That's the business. What do you mean by they treat them badly? I mean, I personally, that's just my personal opinion, and I'm not very well informed on that, so take that with a grain of salt. But I personally think 90% or more, probably more, of the managers of all those K-pop labels, of those big Korean companies, 90% or more of them are probably pretty massive crooks and criminals. I just think that. So I don't think any of the idols are getting treated the way they deserve in all the K-pop fans' opinions, because very clearly they're just working for the label, and therefore they won't have the best conditions in their contract, because they don't actually have any leverage when the contract is getting determined. Because if they don't take the contract the way the label, the organization expects them to take the contract, they're just gonna give it to someone else. You claimed yourself earlier in the video that so many trainees dream of getting the chance to become a K-idol. Yeah, then that's the reason. That's the reason none of the artists actually have leverage against the labels until they make it big. So it's always going to be a stressful field. It's always going to be a harsh environment for the adults to work in. So you said a very, very interesting thing right after that point in your video. You said YG then crawl back to Blackpink when they need money. Are you out your mind? YG are literally the bosses of Blackpink. They made them. They made them themselves. Crawl back to them? Blackpink better get the work done and record the new songs, the new performances for the album, if YG actually tells them to. Because they're just working for them the way I work for my personal boss. The fuck? I don't get that at all. If YG expects Blackpink to have a comeback, they tell them that a comeback is gonna be had soon. And then a comeback is going to be had soon. No matter if the Blackpink members like it or not, they're working for YG. So YG isn't crawling back to any one of them. They're just making them do their job, pretty much. And I see that as harsh as I say it. They are supposed to have those comebacks on a regular basis. So that point was very fucking whack. I'm just gonna say it that way. Doesn't discredit the rest of your video, other good points you made, but that point itself was just so up in the air. Whatever. I've ranted enough about it. Maybe you can give me your opinion down in the comments or on Twitter. I'm very open to debating any of the points I made out to be whack in my video so far. So yeah, just hit me up. Idols being treated badly in general in the K-pop scene, that would be a good point to say, okay, I don't want to support the industry, I don't want to support the label YG because their idols are being treated in a way that I don't want them to be treated. But think about it that way. If they weren't, if Jennie, Jisoo, Rose, Lisa weren't being treated by YG their way, therefore working for YG, you wouldn't know them. You would have never even heard about them. YG brought them to you. They made Blackpink. And again, as the artists have zero leverage against the labels before they blow up and gain popularity in the West or in the East just in general, contracts will always be rough for them. So that's just a flaw the K-pop industry and most industries have in themselves, and you're gonna live with that or you aren't. And again, that's a legitimate reason to unstand Blackpink. If you say you don't like the way the artists are being treated, just pull out of it. It's fine with me. But I don't think you're gonna stand another K-pop artist or group then, because it really can't only be YG. YG aren't the only greedy bastards in the industry. I bet they aren't, and I bet you know they aren't. So you're right, that's a good reason to unstand YG, but who are you gonna stand then? Alright, your concerns about the idols individually, by the way, are again shared by me. I'm all for the idols being treated in a better way, getting more money, getting more free time, getting to choose more what they want out of the videos, out of their comebacks. But that's just stardom itself, isn't it? Stardom isn't something I personally would want to achieve. It just comes with a lot of bullshit, and people are gonna deal with it or they aren't. There are many popular examples in the Western pop scene or other prominent scenes where people just can't handle the stardom, and people overdose on drugs, people just end their careers, people just do other questionable things. Charlie Sheen. All of that comes with stardom, I would argue. So while your concerns are actually very valid, I don't think that that's something that's going to be fixed by just not supporting the big labels. On to your next point, sonceveluv. The doo-doo-doo-doo choreography. I found that point to be a dumpster fire itself. The reasons being the following. One choreo that doesn't meet your taste makes you wanna unstand the group? Did I get that correctly? Because you tunneled very much on that single choreography and you criticized it mostly fairly, but one choreo that you personally don't like, many others don't like, makes you wanna unstand the group? That's kind of a ludicrous idea, isn't it? I would like to be enlightened as to why that one choreography meant so much to you, but I couldn't tell just out of your video. Also, one choreography of group by default will always be the worst or the simplest one, because there just has to be a simplest one. There has to be a worst one. Maybe you think the floor for the group should be higher, meaning that their easiest choreography should still be pretty hard to do, but I don't know. It's one choreography, and that being not your taste is a pretty questionable reason for unstanding, in my opinion. You follow that up with the comparison between doo-doo-doo-doo and the hardest or more exciting choreographies of Blackpink. And that comparison to me is very strange. Because what are you trying to show? You're legitimately only showing that they have very hard, exciting, difficult choreographies that they pull off gloriously, and that they have doo-doo-doo-doo, which isn't as demanding, obviously. But what are you going to accomplish by showing that? What does it mean? In the end, you add their choreographies have gotten better nowadays, but they are different. So if the Kill This Love and Don't Know What You Do choreographies are better than the doo-doo-doo-doo was, it's an upswing. They're on an upswing, right? Why would you unstand now then? You add that the choreographies are different, and that could mean that you just don't like the style anymore as much, and it's a different style than the original ones that you liked so much and that made you stand the group in the first place. But is that a reason for unstanding them? If the choreographies really have gotten better, why would you unstand now? I don't know. I mean, that's for you to decide. I'm not gonna talk into that. But I find that reason, again, to be very whack. Moving on to the last point of criticism that you uttered in your video. sonceveluv says, the frequency of Blackpink comebacks is too low. Now is it? I think that's for everybody themselves to decide. It really is, because it's such a subjective matter. I mean, is it low frequency to have a comeback every other month? Is it low frequency to have maybe only 2 or 3 comebacks a decade? I mean, every artist kind of does that differently, and I get that. And I get that if you don't get content from your group, it feels unrewarding to stand them. But why would you unstand somebody who just puts out content in a very slow manner? Why would you unstand them? Because the reasonable choice, in my opinion, would be just to add more artists to your stan list, to just follow more artists and to support them and enjoy their art in the meantime. If an artist doesn't put out art, it's just a detriment to them being dedicated and wanting to put out a good quality piece of content. Because if YG actually had enough content, had enough banger song material, sick choreographies for Blackpink to perform, they would put them out. They would put them out every other month. They would make the big bucks of it. They just don't have. Maybe that's your point of criticism. Maybe the YG creators are just bad at their jobs, and I don't know, they don't have enough material for the group to actually perform. But why would you unstand them? Why would you not just enjoy the songs and the choreographies and whatever you like about the group? Why wouldn't you just enjoy what you already got and then look for other content elsewhere? Why would it make you unstand the group? I don't get it. Because I think for the fans, higher quality of content is much more rewarding than higher quantity. Because what am I gonna do with 50 shit Blackpink songs if I can have 10 very enjoyable ones and just add 40 more songs that I like into my playlist from other artists? Again, I don't see the relevance. I just don't see the relevancy of Blackpink not having frequent comebacks for the matter of understanding them. Please explain to me. Once again, I'm very open for debate. Now, what is the conclusion to be drawn from sonceveluv's video? Why he understands Blackpink and why we should too. My verdict is that the idol job is brutal, and everybody knows that. And if you like the girls personally, not their persona, but them personally, you just shouldn't support Blackpink or YG. Because those labels will always have people working for them that are being treated like Blackpink are. Because, again, those young rookies, they don't have any leverage when setting up a contract with YG. They will get bad contracts. They will get forced to do brutal tasks. Not like physically brutal, but they are going to be exposed to a lot of stress, and that's always going to be that way. And if you are against that, don't support Blackpink. sonceveluv showed very well why you shouldn't. Now, your disclaimer, sonceveluv, it felt kinda corny, in my opinion. You disclaimed your video saying that you're not a hater, and you clearly aren't. You clearly aren't. You made a bunch of very fair points. And yeah, you are probably frightened of community backlash. I understand that. I mean, you didn't use camera or microphone throughout the whole video, so you most definitely were feared in some way, and I get that. But why disclaim your points? Why say, I'm not hating on them, this is just criticism? Because, again, it very clearly is criticism, and a good video of criticizing them, and a good video of fulfilling the task you set for yourself by putting that title in. So don't disclaim it. Just let the arguments speak for themselves. Maybe react to criticism in the form of comments or videos like I put them out right now, and react then to say, I meant it that way, I meant to say that, and fair enough, you maybe concede some points. That would be a good approach to it, but just don't disclaim your video in the video itself, because yeah, you're not going to accomplish anything by that. Haters are gonna hate on you, people are gonna get out the pitchforks, light the torches, but don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. For me personally, I pressed like on your video. I'm not gonna understand Blackpink. I agree with many of your points. For me personally, that doesn't make me understand Blackpink, but probably will help people getting less butthurt about everything floating around on the internet by getting used to criticism, and that's only going to be good for the Blinks to be exposed to criticism, some specifically to them, some criticism just targeted at YG or the group Blackpink. And yeah, so I liked the video, I really did. Still, many points were kind of a reach, and it seemed you were either butthurt, maybe over your bias, which you didn't want to reveal, but you stated it wasn't Jenny, so being butthurt over Jenny's influence in the group might be a reason for some reaches, but you were just looking for a bit too much in the video. I feel like there were some points that just weren't necessary to bring up because they weren't relevant to understanding Blackpink, in my opinion. And you were looking a bit tunnel visioned on criticizing Blackpink and YG at some points. But yeah, maybe you can clear that up and explain a little bit more in depth what you meant with some of those points. Finally, people especially on Twitter went way overboard claiming hate speech or the similar being done in your video, and I just think that's ludicrous. I think, to all of you fuckers out there, like seriously, sonceveluv put out a very well researched video, argued very fairly against Blackpink and YG, surely giving only one side of the story, but he didn't make up anything. He just explained why he understands Blackpink and why he thought you should too.